I'm live? Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Okay, cool. So look, for those of you who are tuning in, Chris, wave to everybody. You can see Chris. Chris, why don't you say something?
Yeah, is the mic working?
Yeah, we've got to Dennis, just turn them up a little bit.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Capital U?
Capital U,
CSC guest, unlock your promise. All right, Chris, how's it going, brother?
Good, man. Thank you for having me. And to the one lady that knew who I was, that felt great.
He's been watching us like Big Brother for half the audience. So
yeah, this is a great setup, Chirag. Thank you, for opening up your office. Anytime I have a chance to work with Compass agents, I'm honored and thrilled. This is my favorite brokerage. I'm not really supposed to have one, but I do. And it's because they care about their brand. They care about high quality agents. They care about listings. And those are the things that you really should care about. So thank you guys for having me and entrusting me with being a guest coach for Coaching Month.
In the room? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
So now you all get on the live stream, see kind of the behind the scenes. So we're trying to turn up the audio. Chris, hit it again.
Check, check.
There we go.
Test, test. Yes.
So
awesome.
We have 2 minutes before we get started. So for those of you that are there, make sure you have your laptops with you, if possible. And if you don't have your laptops here, don't worry. Remember. So one of the things that's actually really cool about this is we have 60 seconds before we get started. And hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. My parents are on the feed. They actually watch all my emails. And I can tell you that there's no two people on earth that give me more feedback about the emails we send than my mom and dad. My dad's like, you sent too many emails. What was this email about? Make sure you send me the links. So in a minute, we'll get started. And for the thousands of people that are out in the YouTube stream and you're streaming in live, time is your greatest investment. I shared that with the group today. And thank you so much for choosing to invest your time with Chris and I today. And we promise you not to disappoint. So we're going to wait till 2:01. We'll give the agents an extra 60 seconds to get in, as I'm sure people are not always used to logging into YouTube. And we'll get started. And in the interim, if you are on the feed, follow my social media, Chris's social media, tag us in a story. Chris will be giving away some of his USA Today's best-selling books in connection with a raffle that we'll do. And if anyone has their ringer on here, please, if you don't mind turning it off, I'll be good to go. You feel like you're at Saturday Night Live.
I know. We can make Chris bigger. This is big enough.
All right, shh. We're going to start in 15 seconds.
Yes. Game time.
You can do a New Year's Eve countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, Compass, and welcome to our first week of free coaching. I could not be more grateful to share my co-hosts with me today. And just in general, as Chris was saying, Chris, what's your favorite brokerage?
Compass, yes.
Yeah.
Compass is my favorite. I can only say that because this is a private stream.
And what do you love most about Compass?
Well, I love their brand. In real estate, a lot of brands don't mean anything. When you see the Compass brand, I think it stands for quality, design, innovation, success, listings. Those are the kind of top of mind words that I think of when I think of Compass. And if we did that same word association with a lot of other companies, it would be very different. Like there's no MLMs at Compass.
Exactly. So for those of you who've never met me before, my name is Chirag Shah. I'm the founder of Chirag Shah Coaching. I got my real estate license when I was 23 years old. Jason Wilson, who's known me pretty much since then, sitting in the crowd, can tell you that I had no idea what I was doing. And over the last 17 years, I've grown to have this weird obsession with getting people to actually use the training they have. So I was an agent. I did work 2 years at Compass as a director of coaching and training. We do have a coaching company exclusively for Compass agents where we work with over 1,000 agents in every different state in America. So what we're going to share with you is what's working now. And now I could not be more excited to bring Chris in. And Chris is somebody that I've looked up to since I started in real estate. And Chris has always been somebody that's way ahead of the curve. Chris was doing YouTube lives when most people didn't even know YouTube had lives. He's a best-selling author, been best-selling by USA Today, been featured in Forbes, and his list goes on and on. But the most important part about Chris that I love is he gets all of us. He gets our business, he gets the words, he understands that time and resources can be limited, and he's always trying to find practical ways to leverage technology to put more time back into your day and ultimately make your business grow. Chris?
Thank you. That's a great introduction. And it's actionable advice for agents. That's literally what I've built my brand on. The Conversion Code, one of my books. Exactly What to Say for Real Estate Agents, one of my books. I had a blog called Tech Savvy Agent in 2009. I had a podcast called The Water Cooler for 5 years before people were doing podcasts. So, you know, it's tricky to predict the future, but there are certain things that are predictable when it comes to technology. And my friends, AI is the next big thing. As Samsung would say, the next big thing is already here. So I used to do classes on mobile apps. I used to do classes on social media and video. This is the moment to nail AI.
You know, when you think about new innovation, do we meet it with resistance or do we have open arms and run towards it? Resistance, right? And what makes Compass Agents different is depending on how many years you've been here, you've gone through the innovation curve. And AI is still new enough that most people really don't understand how it works, how to leverage it. And think of Compass AI as your unpaid employee that can do everything that you've ever dreamed of. And when we think about it, Chris, what are agents' two biggest challenges?
Well, number one, and I'm guessing if you guys in the audience there, you know, raise your hand if you don't have enough time to dedicate to marketing. If you're in the audience, raise your hand if you don't have enough time.
And if you're on the live stream, hit yes in the chat.
Yeah, let us know in the chat. And then the other thing would be budget, right? Like we'd all like to hire a social media expert, a copywriter, a TikTok video editor. You know, we'd all love to have those types of people on our team, but it's time and it's money. And what the research has shown is that AI allows you to do better work faster than ever at a fraction of what it would have cost traditionally.
And so when you start thinking about this, what I want you to think about is there's this theory of AI, there's how to use AI, there's the benefits as a result, like the output and what you get into your business. And what I want you to start relating back to this is, what would you do in your life with extra time and extra money? And when you can really anchor into that mind frame, then when you're going and hitting the buttons, it's not like you're just doing another thing. You're realizing, all right, I'm going to do all the things that I'm going to learn today, but as a result, I could take an extra vacation. I could be home with my kids for dinner every night, right? I could sit at a soccer game and not look at my phone all the time because I have something in the background that's working for me. So if you could tie and anchor into a new learning to a positive experience that you're going to have in your life in the future, when you go back to learn it, your brain is a lot more likely to say, okay, this is good for me. Because your brain's built for two primary needs, certainty and comfort. And what we know today is certain to us. What we don't know is not comfortable. So you have to get past that concept. So when we think about this and we move into what the future is, what are we going to do today? And when we look at what is the outcome and output of our work together, we're going to show you live as we're doing this together how to build out these campaigns. We're going to show you several different strategies, the why, the what, the how, and then we're going to show you how quickly you can do it. Chris?
I think that's perfect. Yeah, I think one of the differences between a traditional coaching call and what we're trying to do today, if you want to go to the next slide for me, is this is going to be to done, not to do. Like, especially if you're watching on the live stream and you have your computer and you open up Compass AI and actually, like, don't take the note of what to do, do it. Do it while we're working, like, have it done at the end. But this is really where it's like, okay, I have a hammer, where's the nails? People, Chirag, do not know what to do with the AI. Because it is what you said, oh, it could be your assistant, it could be your marketing person, it could make all your wildest dreams come true. It's very daunting to have a cursor, a blinking cursor, right? There's no direction with that. So yeah, we're gonna go through 4 specific marketing campaigns that everybody can use and then rinse and repeat so it becomes part of your monthly marketing play.
As you know me, time blocking and tackling. How do I make my business repeatable and predictable? And look, I can say this because Jason and other people that know me will tell you, I love investing in coaching. I'm probably the easiest person to sell any program to because I'm always looking to get a little bit better. But I also realize you go to these programs, right? Who here has gone to a coaching session and taken a whole bunch of notes? And keep your hands up, and then been really excited to implement it, but then your life happens, your family happens, and you go back to do it, and you're like, wait a second, what do I do? And then you just go back to the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. The cool thing is when we get together, the two of us, the only thing we want to do is make sure when you walk out of here that you know how to do it, and that you actually did it, right? So that's the difference between to do and to be done, to dones. So let's get into this and understand Compass AI. Who's used Compass AI? Hit yes in the stream if you have. You know what I think my favorite part about Compass AI is, and the whole platform? Everything is built in one place. So if you're in there using collections, putting in your private exclusives, using Marketing Center, using the digital ad campaigns, you just now have to click the button on the bottom left-hand side that says Compass AI, and you don't need to leave the platform. So you're not going from one place to the other, which saves you time, which ultimately saves you money, and it's getting the most out of your brokerage and what you're here for, right? So the world that we used to all live in previously, where we had to go to all these different websites, all these different portals, if you're not using the platform and all of the different resources, it is a huge opportunity in your business, right? So they're gonna continue developing it. They have more new features coming out, and it's just something you just need to get comfortable doing, right? So Chris and I wanna make sure you get the actual repetitions in today. Chris, what's a digital mayor?
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about getting listings. And getting listings through the internet is much more difficult than getting buyers, because if you want to attract buyers, you need listings. And you can run Facebook ads and you can do a lot of different things with a listing that can generate buyer leads. But if you want to be the listing agent of choice when people need it, you have to have their attention. This is the attention economy. You don't know when the death, the disease, the divorce, right? You don't know when that's going to happen. And so in order to be top of mind when somebody's ready to list their home, you have to be top of the news feed. You have to be top of the inbox. You have to be top of the suggested videos, right? So I want you guys to take this mindset that you should be the digital mayor of your town. People should look to you as the premium resource for information before, during, and after they buy. And that's a big part of this. So you need content that's clickable. You need content that's consumable. You need content that's irresistible. You want to create content that people would be willing to pay for or would say thank you for sending this to me. That is kind of the mindset when I talk about being the digital mayor. And so the campaigns that we'll go through, they embody that. They really embody that, and maybe embody it more than ever, Chirag, when we go through our first angle, because I'm watching right now as realtors are executing this where I'm at in Florida, because today is not a good day for us. Hurricane Milton is barreling down. I'm hoping to get through the whole session, but those real-time, hyper-local issues for a community is really where you want to hang your hat.
And you think about this concept of a trigger event, right? A trigger event is something that happens in your life that forces you to make a decision that you've been thinking about or postponing. So if you've ever had that gut punch being an agent, seeing your client list with somebody else, it's like the worst feeling in the world, right? First you feel your stomach drop, then you feel a little anxious, you try to go in your mind and figure out what went wrong, then you start thinking about all the commission you lost, but when they had the trigger event, you weren't top of mind, right? And to Chris's point, being top of mind is this concept of being of value. There's so much bad information today, show your value, show your value. That's about you. Being of value is about somebody else. So if you be of value and you add value to people, people will naturally think of you, because that's how the law of reciprocity works. So when you think about this, we're always looking for different ways to stay in touch with people that we already know. I always say the weirdest thing happens. When you work with clients, you call them, you email them, you text message them almost every single day. Do we only have conversations about real estate, or it's like a boundaryless business where people talk about everything? Everything. But this thing happens when the closing happens. You're like, hey, did you reach out to your client? What do I say to them? And this is what this solves. So if we go into strategy number 1.
Yes.
Oops. I love this one. So if you think about it, who here wants to be the local news? And hit local news, right? In the chat, if you're online, every single one of you should be beaming your hands up right now. Yep. And if you're on the live stream right now, you should say yes, 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 yes. How do I do it? Chris, what is being the local news for a real estate agent?
Yeah, well, social media allows you to be, it's social, but it's media. And I think where a lot of agents have an opportunity to level up is they're social, but they don't think about that media. You are a media company. Every time you post something, you're creating content. So what we're going to do is walk through how can you take a topic. There's a great book on this called Newsjacking, and you can use this all the time, Chirag. Like if, as an example, there was a list that came out and Mark Zuckerberg, became the 5th richest person, and it was, an article all over the internet. Well, if I'm a realtor and I see that, I want to figure out how can I leverage the fact that that's already being talked about everywhere, and maybe I can turn the corner and say, have you seen his 5 homes that are worth $270 million? Because then it kind of ties back into what you do. So what we want to do for this first one, and Chirag's going to hop in, run the prompts, we're going to create the content. This is a flow of prompts that will allow you to create content for your website, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok in seconds, not minutes. I mean, we're going to go through 4 or 5 strategies today with a live audience, which is a little intimidating. And it's going to take less than an hour to do all of it. So for me, whether it was when COVID was hitting, there were some really smart agents that were talking about resources, numbers to call, preparedness, equipment. I got a text message from an agent when COVID started. He said, hey, we've got the masks at our office if you need to come pick some up. I forget the name now, K9 or the N95, the fancy mask that the doctors wear. So what you would do here, and this is something that you kind of do as it's happening, but there's always things happening, is if you can hop into Compass AI, Chirag, I want to actually run some prompts with you so that they can see the content create itself.
Well, I want to give them the scenario first, right? So you have Hurricane Milton coming to all of these different towns. So when a hurricane's coming, what are people thinking about? What do I do? What are the emergency? Like they're thinking about emergencies. They're thinking about scenarios. They're thinking about places to go. And remember, you can train an audience to expect things from you, right? So if this is the strategy that you choose to do in this whole like newsjacking thing that Chris is talking about, every time there's a hot topic or an area, you can now start providing information in a very consumer-friendly way that saves them time and adds value where you can be of value. So, all right, let's go to Compass AI and actually see this in action.
Yeah, and just one thing to add there, Chirag, Google Trends is worth checking because what you'll notice, and there's another site called Exploding Topics, but what you'll note when you check these things is that there's a big spike and then a big drop off. And so in theory, if I were the local realtor, you know, looking to leverage what we're about to teach, this should have been done a few days ago because now people are inundated with it, but you would have had the time to know. So what I want you to do, Chirag, is put in a prompt.
All right, so we're live on Compass AI right now. So let's put in a prompt and get started.
So put in a prompt, make a list of the things to do to prepare for Hurricane Milton. Let's just start with a very simple prompt. So we're just asking it to create a list of things to do. This is, by the way, one of the things that if you had tried to just do this the old-fashioned way through research, would have taken a long time. And I would have understood why you wouldn't have wanted to do it, but not now. So watch how quick this will grab.
You can use the app too if you're not on your computer.
Yeah. So that's good, but that's high level. That's not hyper local. So that's a good high level list. That's a good place to start. What I want to do is turn the corner and say, what are the local resources available in Orlando, Florida for Hurricane Milton? And watch how different the output is. This is the difference between, you know, vanilla and chocolate.
I wish I could play the Jeopardy song right now.
Yes, we are going live, so there's risk to reward with doing that.
It says retry later. Hold on.
It's okay. Yeah. What are the local resources available in Orlando, Florida? Like one of the things that AI was able to do recently that is way better, and if it doesn't run it, like I'll kind of spoiler alert, it pulls in, you know, the local shelters, the local places to get sandbags, the local hours of operation of the various grocery stores, things of that nature. It gets super specific. Now, if it's not loading, there's not a lot that we could do about that, but we do have a slide that conveys it as well. But a couple best practices with prompts. You want to add things to it's just a computer, right? Like clearly computers are not perfect. And what you want to do in a scenario like this is be as specific as possible, because by being uber specific with your request, it's going to do it much more in line with what you were hoping for. So as an example, if I'm looking for local resources, I would want to say, be sure to provide phone numbers, contact information, and links back to their website. It may not grab that without you prompting it. You gonna try to run it again?
Yep.
Okay. And by the way, this is the real world of technology, right? You have all the best intentions, you get thousands of people to tune in, and it doesn't work. You have to stay positive. Like that's sort of how
I think we have
Murphy's
over
Law.
2,000 people on this right now.
Murphy's Law was written. So I'm gonna go through the prompts though, because I want everybody to be able to. We're gonna give out the list of prompts. They're gonna be able to paste these in. I have no idea how to troubleshoot this from afar. But what you start, if you go back for me, Chirag, you start with what I call macro content. So you ask it to build you the list, but then you're going to ask it to turn all of that into a 500-word blog post for my website. So you want to think of this content as like, have it do the big, wide, long piece of content, what's called pillar, and then it's easy to spin stuff out. So the order that's the best order to follow, number one, ask it to put it into a 500-word blog post. Number two, ask it to write a 150-word email that links back to the blog post. Another pro tip when you're asking it for an email, please make the subject line have the highest open rate possible. Like I sent an email yesterday, Chirag, and I literally did the little like hurricane symbol, and I said a Cat 5 is headed for my house. Highest open rate of the year, right? That's a very openable email. So you start with the pillar, the large stuff, then you go into email, but then what you can do is now turn this into 10 tweets with emojis and hashtags. You can be very specific. And then you can do some things, and what you really are trying to do here, Chirag, is you don't want to just have one thing that you spew everywhere. This is not like a syndicated listing. You want your content to be relevant and specific to the platform you're sharing it on. So as an example, turn this into questions that I can ask my friends on Facebook that would get the most replies and comments possible. Because the way that you would write a blog or an email or a tweet is very different if you just went on your profile on Facebook. On Facebook with your profile, you really don't even want to put a link to the blog, because by doing that, it's going to shrink it. It's not going to show it to a lot of people. So on Facebook, you might want to ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, how prepared are you for Hurricane Milton? Did you evacuate? Yes or no? These simple, easy to answer questions get the most reach and the most engagement possible. Now, compare that to something like LinkedIn. When you ask it to create a post on LinkedIn, it will actually change the language. It will go from a tweet or a Facebook post, and it will start to turn the corner, and it might start referencing, like there's one that we did that's like, hey, we were going to talk about local events, and it's like, hey, if you're in town, go to the pumpkin patch, right? Well, on LinkedIn, hey, a good team building exercise and something that can help your culture is if you guys all pick out pumpkins together. So it kind of turns the corner and makes it specific to each platform. And then the last prompt that I think everyone should do, you mentioned I love Compass, I do. The number of Compass agents that I know that are doing video is through the roof. Like, can I get a quick show of hands in the audience or on the live stream? Like, are you putting effort and time into making videos for social media, for your listings? Definitely a few hands up. I see a half hand over there on the side. So what you can do, which is so cool, is you can say, now turn this into a video script for TikTok, Reels, and YouTube Shorts. And it will then script it out. I use an app called Q Prompter, CUE Prompter. You can take the script, throw it in the prompter. Again, just like the local news, now you have video content. And then the last prompt, Chirag, is sort of, how do we wrangle all these cats? because now we've got a blog and an email, and we've got all these tweets and these Facebook questions, and we've got these LinkedIn posts, and we, right? Well, the last prompt that I really recommend is now take all of this content and put it into a 7-day content calendar. Include the content in the calendar. And then, so that basically would be like your last prompt where it would then organize it. So it's like Monday, publish the blog, send the email. Tuesday, here's 2 tweets and a LinkedIn. Wednesday, here's a Facebook question and a TikTok video for you to film. That content calendar, kind of organize, plan, and time is really, really important too.
So I want you guys to think about this. If you had to hire people to design, execute, and think through this campaign, think about how much time that would take, right?
Yep.
And when we were messing around thinking about the prompts, it's how do I get prepared for a hurricane? What do I need to prepare for Hurricane Milton in Orlando, Florida? What are the resources available? What are the phone numbers and website links? What are the mobile apps to look at? Can you put this in an email? Can you make this 150 words, 300 words? And at the end of all of this, we had all of this amazing information. And since Chris lives in Orlando, he's like, this is very relevant. And then you're turning it into all these different pieces of content. So this idea, if you're watching it, that you need all these resources, all this money, all this time to get started, you can literally do this inside the Compass platform, right? So I think that's the big unlock aha moment that we should all have here, is that he just talked through this in several minutes. And the same formula, when we get to the next strategy, is another one, highlighting local events. So before we get into this, what I want you all to think about is how people actually live. So if Peggy sends me an event and I bring my kids to it, I'm excited, I'm taking pictures, I'm posting them online, I might share it with one of my friends, I might invite one of my friends. They're gonna say, how did you find out about this event? I'm gonna say, oh, my real estate agent sends it to me, and they actually send me stuff all the time. Well, can you forward that to me, or can I get that same newsletter? And I think this is a huge opportunity, because here's the thing, with AI, you can curate all of these different things that a human being would be aimlessly walking around Google trying to figure out. So if you're a parent with kids under 10 years old, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Every weekend, you're trying to find something to bring your kids to. Right? Imagine a newsletter that had all the best local events that you could do with your kids under 10 years old. Every parent, Chris, remember when your kids were little? How great would that have been if you didn't have to figure it out and somebody just sent you something?
The good old days, by the way, because now they're 15 and 17. Yeah, so think about this, you're right. Every Friday, and a lot of times even on Saturday morning, I'm searching for things to do in Orlando this weekend. I might search for things to do in Orlando in October, right? And so this is another update to OpenAI, which is what powers Compass AI, is that the AI didn't used to actually bring back real-time results, up to the minute, up to the day, up to the week results. So I would use this as a monthly/weekly approach. The prompt would be, what are the best things to do in Orlando? And then we would put October 2024. We'll give this another shot.
We're live on the Compass AI again. What are the best things to do in Orlando? What's the rest of it, Chris?
Florida, just put Florida, there's other Orlandos. In October, do November 2024. The silence is deafening.
I just want to sound out the Jeopardy music, like do, 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 do.
Yes. Well, we're not going to live chat with Compass support. We can roll with this. But the thing that I taught you a second ago, which is the cadence blog, email, social, like that is so important, because that, if you can sort of understand that ideology, you can apply that ideology to any content that you create. You could be creating content around a listing. It could be an open house. It could be a property that you sold. So that, but that same flow, and I think most of it's on there, you know, blog, email, tweets, Facebook, LinkedIn, scripts, calendars, right? That flow is going to be the same. Now, there's a lot of appeal with things to do, because back to my example, if every Friday night or every Saturday morning I'm searching this, if I'm actually getting your email newsletter on Thursdays, you're pre-Google. You're un-Googling me. You're keeping me from needing to go to Google. That would, if you did a calendar of everything in Orlando in October, I would bookmark that. I would save that. I would share that. I would appreciate that, right? That's the kind of content that people eat up. And that's the kind of content that you can use. Now, if you're in a smaller area and there's not a lot of things to do, then you could do this monthly. But if you're actually in an area like Orlando where there's a ton of stuff going on every single weekend, you could actually make this a part of your weekly email newsletter. The other thing I would recommend, and this is something we didn't even talk about, Chirag, I would do the calendar of things to do. I'm guessing there's a way to do this through the Compass Design Center. And I would actually mail that to all of my best clients and all the neighborhoods that I farm. And it would be a branded calendar, not like a magnet one, you know, just a nice high quality calendar. And I would put that on my refrigerator in 1 second. And then now I'm staring at you in my kitchen every month. And every month when I get it, I appreciate the next one. Should you also send me market reports? Sure. I'm not nearly as interested in those, though, daily, weekly, monthly, as I am about things to do in my area. There's a lot of websites, I'm going to tell you guys, where the websites people find when they do these searches, they don't care if you're like getting the traffic instead. These are just big indexes. You know, it's like a big index of things to do. And so they rank really high. You're not going to be able to outrank those types of sites when people are searching. But what you can do is get out in front of them on social, through email, on video. And if you have a list of things to do, that can become a bunch of different videos. You don't have to do all 10 things in one video. I would do one long video for YouTube, and then I would cut that up for social, reels, TikTok, etc.
You know, I think the thing that's really interesting about this, and what I want you all to think about, is integration. How do you do one thing and get as much out of it as possible, right? Isn't that what we're always looking to do? Well, look, this is why your Compass CRM is important, right? If you segment your CRM by tags, and I always say tags, if you look at it like a closet, like groups are like pants, shirts, but within shirts, there could be t-shirts, polo shirts, long sleeve shirts, button-up shirts. Those are your tags. So if your clients are empty nesters, kids under 10, young couples, whatever it is you choose, you can apply this event strategy to each demographic. And now all of a sudden you're creating very personalized marketing through multiple channels. And look, email is still one of your best ways to stay in touch with people. So there's like a macro strategy, right? Like a higher level that could go to everybody. But then if you have taken the time, which I suggest everyone does, in organizing and categorizing and tagging people and being more thoughtful of this as you meet people, this is a way to get a higher ROI. Because look, the number is 10% of your database, if you market them properly, will send you one referral a year. So you need to meet 100 people for 10 deals, right? So the numbers are on your side. So by being able to apply what Chris and I are talking about here, you can now have multiple person output. And I'll always go back to the same thing. Chris, if you go pre-chat GBT, because you were in this world, how many people would someone have to hire to do something like this in a marketing campaign?
Well, the challenge is, and I've employed dozens of professional marketers. I actually won an award from the American Marketing Association as being one of the best 4 marketers under 40. I'm really proud of that. The challenge right now is you need channel specific experts. The person that's good at writing emails might not be the right person to write your Instagram captions. And the person writing those captions probably isn't the best person to edit your Instagram reels. So you need channel experts. That's the beauty of this. This is like having 5 or 7 experts. You have an expert copywriter to write the post. You have an email marketer to write the email. And you can even add into these prompts, and I know you do this a lot, Chirag, talk about the act as strategy.
So the thing about the Compass AI that's really cool is the more information, like the better the input and the more specific it is, the better the output. So think of this as somebody that has a 150 IQ in every different job field in the world. So if I use the prompt, act as an expert, and you have to put what the expert is, right? So in this case, I would say, act as a social media expert with 30 years of experience. And now this is where it gets really interesting. Specializing in, and this is the outcome you want, right? Getting people to engage in my social content through great captions, and then give it the task. And if you go on to type in the prompts with it and without it, you'll see how different this is. And it works even better for listings. So if you say, act as an expert copywriter with 30 years of experience in real estate property descriptions, specializing in evoking emotions and connection through words, now ask me 5 to 10 questions about the property one by one so you can complete the task. At the end of all of this, like, you're going to have a caption that you're going to want to buy the house.
Yeah, that's funny. And one of the other ones I use, act as a New York Times award-winning journalist. Act as an email marketing expert. So definitely that sort of act as can be super helpful. Another one that you kind of hinted at there, and this is one that I think is really one of the best ways to interact with AI and ChatGPT, is you hinted at it. Ask me questions. Instead of you just telling it what to do, ask me questions until you're 95% sure that you can do a great job. So if I say, can you please write a listing description? Sure. It's going to need to know the price, the location, the bedroom, the bath, the amenities. Like it needs all that information to do its job. One thing I would also do, and this is a super pro tip, Chirag, we'll kind of make up for our tech fail with this tip, is most people have really good answers when they're being interviewed and asked questions. But when they're just sitting down, they don't know what to do. So what I would do is I would say, act as a reporter, and you are interviewing me for a profile in the local news. I've been a realtor for 25 years. I know the area inside and out. I've done $1 billion worth of sales. Ask me 10 questions, one at a time. By the way, that's another really important one at a time. And so now all of a sudden, it might say, what's the most expensive home that you ever sold? And that is going to be very easy for you to answer. It might say, what are some of the mistakes that you see people making when they're selling their home, during the holiday season, whatever that may be. So getting it to extract great answers, and then those answers become great content.
So as you could see, there's a place to start, there's a place to grow, but all of these are my 2 favorite things. It's repeatable and it's predictable. And do you know where confidence comes from? The consistency of action. The thing that I love most about this is you can literally go in here and instead of just doom scrolling on Instagram, if you took that time, type the craziest things that you can think of into AI and just see how it responds. Like having imagination and innovation, there is no wrong answer, there is no wrong output. And just trying different things, you're gonna learn things that work for you. And once you have a prompt, you can save it to your prompt library. So let's go on to the next strategy.
Sure. Yeah, and just to piggyback what you're saying there for 1 second, these strategies, because we're going to talk about restaurants, we're going to talk about local businesses, we're talking about things to do. You could actually sit down today and you could create all of this content. I would do it through the end of the year and through the end of Q1. Because all you have to do is say, what are the best things to do in Orlando in January 2025? The list is already out there, right? Like you don't have to wait for December to do the one in January. You could really do what's called batching your work. And I know that a lot of people, they slow down a little bit over the holidays, but they slow down because they're not as busy. What a perfect time to basically tackle your 2025 marketing in December. Schedule it. You can schedule on every social media site now. You can schedule the February email in December. Like I really love getting ahead and kind of batching the work versus trying to sneak it in to every day. I do an exercise with people, Chirag. I'd love everybody to try this right now, okay? Look at your calendar, all right? Open your phone, go on your desktop, look at your calendar. And I want you to go back to September. And I bet it is crazy. Then what I want you to do is I want you to go look at November. And November is empty. Not completely, there'll be some stuff in there. But in most cases when I've done this exercise with people, the next month's calendar is wide open. So that would be the time to fill it in with some of these activities, not as it starts to get crazy. The next two strategies, Chirag, this is something that is so powerful because you're co-branding with another local business. What happens is you have your following, you have your email list, they all have theirs too. So one of the prompts that I love is, what are the best local restaurants and hidden gems? Like, and I like to kind of tell it like, not the ones that are mentioned all the time, like the hidden gems is an important part of that. And so all of a sudden, you can have a 500-word article on your website about Bob's Burgers, and then you can highlight Bob's Burgers on all your social media channels. You can highlight them in your email newsletter. You can go there and do videos of the location, which is not incredibly difficult to do. But now all of a sudden, and actually as I'm thinking through this, Chirag, I would actually add, and this might be elitist of me, but I would add best local restaurants with the largest followings on social media.
Well, that's interesting you're saying that because I can tell you we've done this with clients, I've done this myself. If you think about it, the amount of agents, like a lot of things agents do are very commoditized and busy, right? So if you're sending mail, you're another postcard in their mail, but how many people, and a lot of us around the country work either in metro cities or especially people in the suburban markets, like many of you here, how many people in real estate are really driving traffic and promoting the local businesses, right? So you can go in there, make the content, make the videos, reach out to them. You'll be so surprised how willing they're A, to share it on social, and B, if they have an email list, they'll send it for you, right? And the coolest thing about AI is, can you make me an Instagram post, a YouTube video, or an email that the restaurant can send out with the information I created? So now you're adding value, you're being of value, you're helping them get business, and when they think of a real estate agent, who are they going to think of?
Yeah.
They're going to think of you, right?
Yeah, and you're right, because what you can do is have it write a few suggested captions for them to share. And that way, when you reach out, you can say, hey, you guys can write whatever you want, but here's a few if you want to just copy and paste them. Another pro tip here is you're not going to email the restaurant. You are going to DM them, okay? You're going to DM them on Facebook, because these social inboxes are timed and they all want like a good response time. So like when you send somebody an email, it could sit there for, a year before they ever get to it, if ever. When you DM a business on social, it goes into kind of their reputation score. And it'll actually say this business usually responds within 2 to 3 minutes, within 5 to 10 minutes. It'll actually tell you that. So DM them on Facebook and then also on Instagram. And there's, of course, collab posts. This is a big one where you can create the video and you can share it, but you can add them as a collaborator. And all they have to do is say yes when they see it, and that actually puts it on their Instagram and your Instagram, which is a really big one as well. But if you combine these ideas, Chirag, timeliness and the hyper-localness, if you don't want to cook for Thanksgiving, here's 5 restaurants that are open, right? If you want to take your wife if you want to have a great date night on Valentine's Day, here's 3 places that still have tables open. See what I'm saying? Kind of combine the timeliness and the hyper-localness.
And the last pro tip, like, you all want to save money and time, so do they. So when you're taking this whole little package, you could type a prompt in that says, please make this into a little media kit with step-by-step instructions that I can share with the restaurant, so it makes it easy for them to share my content. So when you start branding, right, a lot of marketing is packaging, positioning, and promoting. So now you're going there, you're highlighting the restaurant, you're highlighting a great dish, you can go in there and make a video, you're giving them an email they could send, a caption on their social media, a collab post, and say, by the way, I have a media kit for you. If you really want to get this out there, we created this great content and we want to make it easy for you to share. Right?
Yeah, that's what a professional would do.
So let's talk quickly, and we're getting towards the end here and we want to leave time for Q&A, is contests. We used to have a page called Lifestyle Westchester, and we got to 20,000 followers, I think in less than 18 months without really spending any money on ads. And a lot of it was based on going to restaurants, making cool little videos, interviewing people. But we would do these contests on social, $20, $50, $100 gift card. And the amount of engagement, traffic, shares, tags people, we loved it, right? Because it got us exposed to different people. And the restaurants loved it because it got them the same thing. So Chris, what's been your experience with the food giveaways?
Well, it explodes. You'd be amazed how much more engagement that $25 gift card can get you. We've used it as a way to build our following. Not every single person watching right now already has a big following. So you can make the criteria to enter, follow our page, and then leave a comment below, and we'll let you know who wins, Thursday at midnight. But giveaways, it's actually insanely effective. I would almost rather so if I'm going to spend $50 in boosting a post on social, I would rather spend 75 and have that gift card to the restaurant as a part of the post, because it would outperform exponentially. If you took $75 to boost a post giving away nothing, and $50 to boost a post giving away a $25 gift card, the $50 boost will go 10x the $75 boost that doesn't have a freebie. And honestly, Chirag, the last one, it's a lot like this one. It's small businesses. And who are the local small businesses? What are the top 3 small businesses in blank? Another angle I like to use is within 3 miles of, within 5 miles, less than a 15-minute drive from. So then I can actually do content and say, here's my favorite sandwich shop that's within 15 minutes of Avalon Park. you know, kind of using that really works well. But we're going to give everyone the prompt guide. They're going to get all the prompts, copy, paste. It's going to spit it out. It really comes down to stacking. It's like an upside down triangle. You want it to be really wide. That was an example, if you go back for a second. Gretchen Coley, who we should mention, you know, we went to look at her Instagram. She has a great reel promoting Fox and Bailey, which is a local jeweler. I don't know who they are. She does. If you go back a couple more, Chirag, you know, you can see the local events. I didn't mention the graphic. Go back one more for me. She's got the Indian restaurant. That's a local restaurant that she's supporting. Go back again. You know, she's got the local, I believe it was like a basketball graphic. I think it was Hoops. I don't want to get this wrong, but I think, yeah, there it is. Hoops for Homeless. So this is what it looks like in real life. And oh, by the way, Gretchen's one of the top listing agents in the country. And yeah, she's doing it by building her brand around the community. She is the digital mayor of Raleigh, it's just so fun to watch people that execute. Hopefully these ideas are going to make it so much easier for people to do that.
Well, shameless plug here is that on the last session, Gretchen will be here live and doing objection handling. So she's somebody that if you look at her Instagram, you literally think she's everywhere, right? Mm-hmm. And she's using the Compass AI. She's coming up with the strategies. She's a dear friend and client. So I can tell you how this all works for her. But what she's realized with this is this just saves me so much time. Mm-hmm. Right? I can get my video script, I can get my email, I can get my blog post, I can get all of these things done, where she does have a large team and a lot of employees, and her big takeaway was, I don't have to have all of these employees manually doing this on the internet. With AI, I can spit this stuff out really fast. And so as we wrap up, we're gonna get to Q&A, but I think I wanna hit the biggest point for everybody is consistency is key. And when you think about consistency, it is how you get the most out of anything, right? Mm-hmm. So I'll go through just some random numbers for you all to think about. If you literally did nothing more than call 5 people a day that you knew, it'd be 25 calls a week, 100 calls a month. Out of 10 months out of the year, so 2 months that you didn't do it, it'd be 1,000 conversations. And if that converted at 1%, which is the same as sending random mail to people's mailboxes that you don't know, that's 10 transactions by just being consistent. So when you look at these strategies, they're all rinse and repeat. So I can say this, Chris, who here ever has a newsletter that they star or really good content that they open it, they look forward to, and like, I need to go back to that. Chris's Chris list, like he has the best email newsletter that I've ever read in my entire life. Every week there's new information, it's interesting, it has multiple different perspectives, and you're walking away with something actionable. So if you DM him list, he'll add you to the list and you can enjoy it like I do. I look forward to it every single week. But here's the thing that I want you to walk away with, right? From to-dos to to-dones, the opportunity that we all have in this moment today is to take our calendars as soon as you get off the call and block 30 minutes to an hour once a week, say even starting next week, not this week if you don't want to, and make that a consistent time block. And don't sell it the second somebody calls you to show a house.
Yeah.
You can't build a business that's highly scalable and profitable when every time you have to do something for yourself, right? So if you ever had one of these lulls in your business, if you look back 3 or 4 months, odds are you were not prospecting, you were not marketing. So 1 hour a week, most people spend more than 1 hour a day just going like this on their cell phone. So if you make the investment, you use the Compass AI, you use the prompts that we give you, you're setting yourself up for success. Chris?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to mention my Instagram is Chris_SMTH. There's no I in Smith. And all you have to do, follow me, send me a DM, the word list, LIST, and I'll get you guys signed up. But you're right, Chirag, that I'm glad that you picked up on this because these are not flashes in the pan. You know, these can become part of your digital marketing strategy in perpetuity. And it's the kind of stuff that people want. It's unsubscribable. It's irresistible, right? Like this is the kind of content. And you know what's funny you said about Gretchen? She's not firing her team. She's empowering them with AI to 10x their output. That is the beauty of these tools. You can expect more from each person and they can deliver. You know, everybody wants to do a great job and put in, not everybody, but you know, the people that you're working with, hopefully they want to do the best work possible. And this is, you know, it's not like AI or a person. Every prompt that you're putting in is you putting it in. But yeah, thank you. And do we have some questions?
Yeah,
I'd love to do
we
some
shall.
Q&A.
So,
Let me
Are we
just see the
start-
ones that are online first.
yes.
Number one, can we get the prompts in a document that we can send out to
Can we get the prompts in a document we can send to everyone? We are sending everyone every single prompt that you're
Yes.
going to need to build out every one of these 4 strategies. So look out for our replay email tomorrow. It will have the
Correct.
doc, it'll have a replay to this. You can follow along on your computer or while watching the video, or you can just take the PDF and run with it inside of Compass AI. Question number 2.
Number two, Chris, can you speak to just the difference in the evolution of ChatGPT versus Compass AI? The struggle on that is all over the feed. The biggest question coming from that is just, you know, give some advantages to the Compass AI aspect, especially when it comes to maybe like non-real-time use cases.
What do you mean by non-real time?
Non-real-time use cases. One of the struggles here in the chat is just around Compass AI's technology not being up to date with like local events that are now, or something that may have happened yesterday.
Well, Compass AI is powered by OpenAI, which does provide real-time updates, right? So, look, the one thing I can tell you about any technology that you use, right? Sometimes there are glitches, sometimes there are bugs, but Compass AI is powered by OpenAI, right? So if you have more questions about the Compass AI, the tech team is better equipped at Compass. We ran all of these prompts through Compass AI, and they're just as effective and they work really well, and they will get you the output of what you want. Chris went through all the local events in Orlando. I went through all the local events in Westport, and these are actually the things that are happening. And so, look, I want to address this question with another question, right? Are you looking for perfect, or are you looking to be effective and be able to provide good information? Right? So the only way to guarantee anything, because like Google is a search engine, AI is a summary engine. Right? So unless you manually want to go on Google before this technology existed, my challenge to you is like, don't let that certainty of what you think in your head and that comfort stop you from getting the best use of the technology. We always suggest like, look at what it's sending, make sure that it's on brand for you, that it's in your right voice, it's in the right tone, it speaks to your audience. We do not recommend just putting in a prompt, copy, pasting, stick it in the email without reviewing it. That's not a good business practice.
And then just remind the online audience that the recording will come out tomorrow.
So tomorrow, a couple things. The recording will come out tomorrow for everybody, and it'll also have the prompts in it. The second thing is we did do a contest and a giveaway for Chris's book. If you follow at Chirag Shah Coaching and Chris_SMTH and tag us in a story, you'll be entered in. And look, we had a couple questions in the audience.
Yeah,
Question.
let's do it.
Do you have suggestions for apps that we can use just like in order to look at the camera and read something that looks like we're just talking? Like if we want to
Yeah, so the question is there a good app that is a teleprompter where you can look at the app and it's as if you're talking to a camera? Chris, I think this is your wheelhouse here.
Yeah, the one that I mean, there are a bunch of them, to be clear. If you just go to the App Store and search teleprompter, there's some really good free ones. The one that I use is actually like in the browser, cueprompter.net, C-U-E, prompter.net. That one gets the job done. You can change the size of the font. You can control how fast or slow the words scroll. I've never really felt like I had a need beyond what that one can do.
So you can have the teleprompter on your computer, and you could put a little gimbal that's just right above it, so it's eye level.
Yep.
And you're good to go. Look, again, don't let perfection be the enemy of progress, right? Standing still, just remember you're not going anywhere. You're actually just going in a merry-go-round in your head. So we had a couple more questions in the crowd.
Yeah.
Is Compass AI working on integrating information about homes?
Yes.
Past homes?
So I don't want to speak to what's on their tech roadmap. I know there are new cool features that will make your workflow as an agent every day much easier, right? So in terms of specifics of like what it will be able to do and not be able to do, I would encourage you to talk to your sales manager, and they'll be the best equipped to answer that. Jason Wilson in the back. Anyone else have any questions? Mark?
Can I just ask Chris a question? As
Yeah.
with real estate, I have 4 restaurants in Orlando. Will they be there tomorrow?
Chris, he has 4 restaurants in Orlando. What will they be there tomorrow? What's the hurricane looking like?
Yeah, so far so good. I was just hoping to get through this live stream. At this point, I don't really care if the power goes out. It is going straight through Orlando, but it's really just starting to get to Tampa, Sarasota. But yeah, we may have to update our list of restaurants if a couple of them fly away.
All right, look, we're 3 minutes over, and to be mindful of everyone's time, I would not be a business coach if I did not do this. If you're watching or you're here, here's exactly what to do next. Number 1, when you leave here or you're done with the stream, block off at least 45 minutes to an hour. I call it the rule of 72. If you learn something new and you don't use it within 72 hours, the odds of you going back and actually ever doing it are close to 0. So book the initial time block. The second step is use the prompts and build out an actual strategy. Implement the strategy, and then ideally put time blocks in 30 minutes to an hour. If you have a hard time focusing, there's a thing called the Pomodoro clock, which essentially says, I want to focus on one task for 25 minutes at a time, take a 5-minute break, and not do anything else. If you did that with Compass AI for all of your marketing, you'd be an entire marketing department. So block off 30 minutes and use a Pomodoro clock, right? And rinse and repeat this, and do this throughout the year, right? Output is the most important thing. Sending emails on the same days and the same time so people get used to having that information. You know, look at being able to segment your CRM and getting rid of all the weird people that you don't know and focus on the people that know you, that like you, that trust you and done business, and be obsessive on how you tag them so you can use this in different segments just for email. Right? If you do those simple things, you'll get more listings, you'll get more leads, you'll get more referrals, and you'll have happier clients. And then when you actually have to call them and talk to them, you're not going to feel all weird reaching out because, well, what do I say to them? I haven't called them. I haven't done anything for them. Like, they don't know you were supposed to call them. And they're not waiting like, wow, you know, Amy never called me. She sold me a house. Right, so just start thinking about this. This is a great way with the holidays and everything coming up to reactivate your database and be of value. Jesus. So as always, I like to end. Chris, thank you so much for joining today and sharing all this great information. And for all of you that like, Chris and I are working on a project together. If you liked us working together, we're actually building a full-blown AI coach just for the agents at Compass. So it's something exciting that we're going to be releasing soon, so something fun to look forward to. And I like to always end with love in my heart. I love you all. Thank you all for being here on the stream and in person. So this is where it cuts, and if you're in the room, this is where we get to have some fun with some food and some drinks, and thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.